Okay, whenever you're done, Leah, come out.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live Out Loud Wednesday. Today we have a guest speaker, Miss Africa, my
Hi,
favorite
everyone.
person. Oh, welcome,
Hey.
Africa. And our topic tonight is why are relationships with women so hard? Mm. I'm gonna pick on you, Eb. Do you want to tell us why you think that relationships with women are so hard?
Mm. Well, I feel like for the most part, I think women are emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we thrive off of our emotions and we react based off of our emotions. And so most oftentimes we don't know how to get those in check, to be able to process nor deal with one another in a way that's effective. And that's going to help us be successful with having successful relationships with each other. Like, for example, a woman can have a conversation with another woman and not like that woman's tone based off of her own emotions. That woman could probably not even mean that woman no harm, but because that woman feels that the way that that person said something, it didn't sit well with her emotions, she gonna flip out on that other woman. So one, the to kick it off, one reason is definitely because we're emotional creatures. We have to learn how to actually put our emotions in check to be able to um, deal with one another. It's not easy to do. For me, with age, I find that I got better with that, and just actually like learning about myself. I think when we learn about ourselves and we really spend time with ourselves and trying to, that self development that we do within ourselves, I think we can learn to get our emotions in check. But that's definitely one of the reasons that I have, or that I believe that it's hard for us to get along with each other.
I agree. What about you, Devin?
Um, I definitely was thinking about when Eb said because we're emotional. We are emotional creatures. I also do feel as though other ladies have higher expectations on another woman than they should. I think sometimes friendships can kind of get the lines for a friendship can kind of get blurred when a friend is expecting more from another friend versus what they expect from someone they're in a relationship, if that makes sense. So, for example, us being in our later, years in life in Africa, of course, you're not part of that. But us being, over 30 and y'all are in your 40s, it's like your life begins to change as far as what you do, as far as your dynamic. Meaning, when I was in my teenage years, I had my friends. I would probably talk to them every single day, do things with them all the time. I was that person they can call, and at a drop of a dime, I was out and doing what I need to do with them. Once I got older, my priorities shifted a little bit. Not saying that they're not important to me, but now I have a family. Now I own a home. Now I have a career. So it's like my time to be allocated to my friends is more limited now. I'm not always available on the phone. I'm not always available to go and do certain things. So it's like some people take that as you not being a good friend or being reliable, but it's also you have to take into consideration like, I myself, I'm in school, I have a full-time job, I have a toddler, I have a whole household, two teenagers, and I'm running, Women in Power with you ladies. So I have a lot going on. And I will say this is like a current topic I have discussed with a few of my friends where, I just don't necessarily have the time. When I do have downtime, I'm literally wanting to just sit. Like, I catch myself sometimes just sitting in quiet, like talking to God in my head and thinking about what I need to do next. You know what I mean? Because it's not that I don't want to talk to anyone, but it's just, me needing that time for myself, which I never get. So it's like, some people can take that as, this woman that I love as a friend, best friend, or I've known her for all these years. She doesn't care about me like I care about her. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not the case. And I think, sorry, and I think sometimes, that can kind of get easily shifted into someone's perspective to say, Devin's not as much of a friend for me as I am for her. But that's not the case. Like, if I needed to break my bag and give a person my last, I would do it because that's just the type of person I am. So I think sometimes that can kind of put a damper on relationships because when someone's trying to push too much on me, that makes me push away from them, if that makes sense. Not saying I don't love you and I don't pray for you and I don't want to be friends anymore, but it just kind of makes me feel like, dang, like she don't know I got a lot going on. You know what I mean? Like, I
Because
can't.
it looks so easy.
You know what I mean? Like,
To make it look so easy.
yeah, but some people will take that as me not being available as a friend, and that's definitely not what the case is. And it's like I feel like as I'm going to be 39 this year, do I have to keep explaining to my friends how I love you? I'm just busy. You know what I mean? And some people expect that, and I think that's where that can mess up a relationship, friendship, whatever it may be, with another woman. Like, um, just having too much of an expectation for me. Like, you might not be as busy as I am. You may be able to talk on the phone more than I can, but that doesn't mean you're more of a friend to me than, I am to you, if that makes sense. And I might just be speaking out of personal experience, but that is something that I have currently battled with some friends that, I love to death and I would do anything for, but I'm just not available like I used to be. And it's not no shade on anybody. I ain't got time to pick up the phone. Like Eb knows, like I used to never pick up the phone. I try my hardest to pick up the phone when I can, but and Davina know. I used to be bad. I used to be bad with it. I've gotten better.
Are you saying you're a bad friend, Devin?
No.
I might be.
I used to have to text her 911, so then
I
she'd
might
call
be.
me back.
At least you can own it if
I
you're
might
saying
be.
you're a
I
bad
think
friend.
Man,
I think that
might
has to
be.
do with making time though, right? Like you're not wrong, yet
Yeah.
we make time for our kids, we make time for our men, we make time for our job or the business. So then it I think it does come into question, like, if you value our friendship, do you make time, for that? Um
Some
you said
people run out of time though.
yes. You Devin, you had spoke on a few things in convenience popped up when you were speaking about like your old friends from like school. I think at some point in our lives our friends were more so built off of convenience. We went to school with them every day, right? And we didn't have bills and real responsibilities. So it was easy to have all this time in the world. But when you do have kids, when you do have a job that you spend 8 hours of the day at, when you do have a car note and this that needs to be paid, and you're, trying to elevate yourself in life, I think that comes in with, do your friends expect the old version of you and they haven't entered, like stepped into, hey, my friend has grown up, her priorities have changed. So then it's like I can just see that and how that plays a huge part in where people are like, you don't make time for me. I have friends that I have this habit of like falling off the face of the earth when I need to regroup, when I need to recharge. And so my friends know like, hey, she'll pop up when she's ready. And I feel like those are the friends that have been around, and you know that, hey, Africa need her time, and she'll, you know, come back and we kick off right where we left. There's not the whole conversation of, well, I haven't talked to you and I had this and this going on. It's that understanding of like, hey, as soon as we talk for the first time again, girl, okay, so this happened, you know, this, you know, the kids is good, but they've been getting on my nerves. Like we continue right where we left off. I think those relationships, um, we can see that women do work together, but I think when women expect you to have a relationship with them romantically in some aspect, um, is when it gets hard. But when you spoke on that, I actually found a link on the internet, and they actually wrote about why relationships are hard. And they actually said, um, in a simple explanation, women appreciate effort and commitment. They seek the same qualities in a friendship that they would want in a relationship, which is understanding, compassion, support, and loyalty. In some ways, this can create friendships that are more fulfilling than romantic relationships. And I think that's true. Um, with our girlfriends, we disclose so much. They know more about us than, you know, the person who we lay next to at night to some degree, right? They know the skeletons in the closet. They'll take them to the grave. They're the one who typically knows the passwords if something was to happen to you, right? Like, I'm going to lock them away. No one's going to touch it. So I think that's when it does creep into why relationships can get so hard, just as a relationship with a guy, or you know, whatever your romantic relationships are, because they're not always going to be easy. We're going to have them ups and downs. We're going to have people who outgrow each other for a time being, and I think whether you can weather that storm really tests, you know, whether the relationship is worth working on or not. And some people we just outgrow. Girl, I don't party no more, and that's me. Like, I'm not the going outside shaking my tail feather, like, and I'm only 27, I'd be like, yeah, that's not me. So very quickly I outgrew a lot of those friends. I'd be like, hey, that's you. And it's no shade, it's just, I mean, I've always been older than my age, so I want to pursue business adventures. You know, I want to pop on a podcast or start, you know, like, I had a cake business, I have a cake business. And so for me, being in those realms, I see females who have a lot of envy. And so I would say that's a reason why relationships with women are hard, or competition and comparison. Those three, yeah, it's huge. Whether you're friends, whether you just see each other on the street, whether she got something on that you like or you wish you had the body type as her, or you can see a relationship that she has with her man and you don't have that, so you feel some type of way. It's rough out here.
Indeed.
It is.
Indeed. Or you can see how other sometimes women are affected by how other women love other women and may not find themselves being able to fit into that realm and still and feel some type of way about that too. And a lot of times when we really think about it truthfully, it's really soul searching and searching within yourself to find out exactly what it is within yourself that keeps you from being able to form relationships. There is no reason in the world why your cutoff game has to be so strong in every 20 days you cutting off 5, 6 different people. It's not those people. It's you.
I mean,
Like
if
it's
you
you.
look at it though, I think one of the biggest problems is we are our biggest critic. And so we think of ourselves in a certain manner. And when we get around other people, we also think that they think that about us or that they know something about us. And so we know that we shut people down before it even gets started. We know who we're already going to let in and befriend and do whatever with before it even happens. You can walk into a room and you can know already who you think is the cool person or somebody that you would actually hang out with or be able to allow into your space, and who you just is not going to have. And I think that that comes from within ourselves. We are our biggest critic.
But how many times have we been wrong with that impression?
Too many.
Right. And I
Too
think
many.
that's also another thing that women do is I think us women let in people too quickly. To have, we have open hearts, and a lot of us are that healing and loving type of person. So, we're usually like, I see this girl, we had this in common, and, she's struggling, she needs a friend. So it's like, then you're friends with this person because you're trying to help them heal from something. But then all of everything else they're going through, now you take on because us as women, we try to help and save everyone. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but we have to pick and choose when we are allowing people in our realm.
That sounds like a trauma bond. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
If you honestly look back though at friendships, relationships, whatever it may be, and you think about the people that you bonded with, a good percentage of them might be trauma bonds.
Indeed.
You don't even think about it, like, because you could just be having a conversation, even in high school. Oh, your parents are divorced too, and then you bond because of that, or oh, you just live with your mom and see your dad on the weekends. Oh, that I go through the same thing, girl. And then you have this whole friendship that has started off of just some dysfunction that you had similar, and now you're like going through all these trials with this person that you typically wouldn't even have dealt with, if you didn't give them that opportunity to be in your life. So,
but then can we really say that that is a bad thing? I mean, when we look at it, a lot of scenarios and situations start from that. I mean, look at where we started.
True.
Me and Devin started in the shelter, a woman's battered shelter together. That's trauma bond. We told each other all of our heartaches and all of our pain and agony. We were able to build a friendship off of that and go further from that. We were able to let that sit to the side and not be the base of our friendship. But we started off there. And so when we think of that, like, it doesn't always have to be a negative factor. It's just everything happens for a reason. We run into people for a reason. We have to go through paths with people for a reason. And I think that it's figuring out what it is that we're supposed to gain from that situation and what it is that we're supposed to leave into that situation. Not every situation is supposed to be a forever. And I think that that's what's heartbreaking with us is we always are waiting and looking for that forever. And not everything is supposed to be forever.
Do you know that a lot of women don't like each other because of the basis of a man?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And do you know that, I'll go back to that in a second, but to kind of piggyback off of where you are with what you were saying, what I also see with trauma bonding a lot is when a woman breaks up with a man, that woman will cling on to certain other women who either are single or may have been friends with them, or I love my baby mama. I call her my baby mama because our daughters are sisters. But when I divorced Ramon, me and my daughter's sister's mom, we was out here. We was everywhere. We was out here, and we found ourselves bonding because she was just coming out of a relationship. I was just coming out of a relationship. We're out, we're hanging and this, that, or the other. And then when I got involved with my husband, that changed. And so it put a strife in between that, not a strike, but like it changed the dynamic of that relationship. And I think sometimes I don't want to say we use each other, but we definitely connect during traumatic experiences with one another in a way that when we're not dealing with that same level of trauma, we don't seek each other out in that realm. Like it's inconsistent, right? And so I take full-fledged responsibility for my role in that because I did get busy with my partner. I did start doing different things, and I did, my life did change in that situation. But I mean, there's a lot of different things when we look at the trauma bonding. But fast forwarding back to what I initially had said, I lost my train of thought. I'm getting old, y'all.
You're not.
What I just say?
Well, while you rethink that, let me read this comment from
Go
Kristen.
ahead.
She said, "I
And I
think
might not ever remember.
I've been doing that lately. I think we was taught to how to love men, but not other women. We witnessed women in our lives being gossipy and fake, so we learn them behaviors." Yeah, I agree with that.
I want to
That's
touch on
one of my besties right there. Her telling the truth. Okay.
I want to speak on that because when reviewing this topic, I wrote a couple things down that like automatically came to mind. And I wrote not having the best foundation with women. Um, and so how I look at it is how do you know how to have healthy relationships with women? If the relationship with your mother, your grandmother, you know, the
Come on.
start of, you know, where your relationship with another woman, you know, takes place, if that starts off damaged and you see that the way they deal with women as well is damaged, you do nothing but pick up that, well, I can't like her or I got to feel some type of way about her, and we develop that. Then we have the social media aspect that pushes it, you know, even more. The music, you know, and a lot of the music is, you know, forget the man, but also love the man and forget the female, or forget the fact that he with a female. So there's no respecting of another female either. It's no respecting of ourselves as females. So how can another female respect us? There's a lot of that. But I believe the foundation, how do we treat women with respect and humility and grace, when depending on what your foundation with women is like when you've grown up, I mean, it could have been pretty much diminished from there. So, but to also talk about the men aspect, what am I? I'm only 27. So back in my teenage years, I found myself dealing with a guy, and he didn't disclose that he had a baby mom. We're all in our teenage years, and at the time I was going through a lot of stuff at home, and I found myself um, being homeless, and I needed a place to stay, so I ended up staying with him because his doors were always open. His family allowed the doors, you know, for me to come in. um, and I ended up staying with him, and then the baby mom ended up moving in too. So we all lived in the same household, and mind you, we all in school together, as well. So in high school, and there's one who's pregnant. There's another who like, and we're sleeping with the same person. One day, like I'm not, or you know, or 1 month I'm not, or you know, like, and then they not dealing with each other, or we're not dealing with each other. So it's that, right? And I think a matter of, you know, am I important comes into play, because a man will play with a female's emotions. You're important and I love you, or no, you're important and I love you. And then it's this back and forth with females of, well, why is he picking you, and you know, why am I not good enough? And then we're battling trying to figure out who matters. um that same female ended up being, she is currently still my best friend. Like, she turned into one of my best friends. She knows everything, and we have bonded over that traumatic situation because she endured a lot. I endured a lot. We found out that we were both dealing with homeless situations and mothers who weren't really looking out for our best interest, that got us in that, you know, state where we encountered each other. Once I stopped dealing with the guy, and once she kind of left her baby daddy alone, we realized, like, oh, you know, I really care for you, and I actually care for you too. And we had our ups and downs, you know, throughout the years, but I would go hard for her. Like, there's nothing she couldn't ask for that I wouldn't, you know, try to make something happen. And I find that to be crazy, right? Because typically in them situations, females will continuously hate each other. When I see you, it's on site type situation, right? And this is a person who, I mean, that's like my best friend, that's my sister, and it's odd. Like, but that's who she is. And so there are situations where it can start off bad, and I think if your intentions and your heart is good, it can change to something better. Um, but I think you also have to grow up. And sometimes females don't want to grow up or take accountability or let men go, to see that, hey, you may have been called to each other. So,
Can I ask a question?
mm-hmm.
At any time in that scenario, though, do you think that it was really him making you feel like you weren't good enough or that you weren't important? Or do you think that that was something underlining within yourself?
That was definitely within myself. I think he just added to it, but it was, I think I had that feeling already. I think being homeless and enduring abuse from my mom, kicked it in full, wave. And then to be living with a guy who 1 minute loves you and tells you you're who he want to be with, like all those things start to weigh you down and make you just feel less and less about yourself. Then you start to look at the next female like, what makes you better than me?
But I mean, if we all think logically about it, how come he couldn't really love both of you in two totally different manners at the same time?
I think, listen, I just had no business being there.
You didn't, but it happened, and things happen. And I mean, there's no reason to be ashamed of whatever happened. As long as everybody knew what they was doing, and they were consenting to it. But at the same time, though, I find and I truly believe that I can love 100 different men, all in different ways.
I think that's a Scorpio in you. Let me say why. I've had a conversation with Reggie about this.
We had that conversation
about being able to love more than one person at the same time. Which I personally,
different podcast, different topic.
Well, I mean, it all kind of
goes into this.
back into it. But I did want to just speak on Africa.
No, go ahead, baby.
Africa was a sister wife at one time. It's okay.
Okay, I was helping her along with her pregnancy and everything. I think I was more involved in her pregnancy than he was.
Little midwife.
Probably was.
Little midwife.
Right. Sister.
She was like, I hated you, but I loved you so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I think the main thing with situations like that, and just my perspective is, anytime there's another woman in a situation like that, if a woman does not want to let go of what they have with said man, that they're, both ending up dealing with, or whatever the case may be, that's where that cattiness comes in. Because there's still some type of underlying emotions. There's no way I would ever be arguing with any of my baby dad's girlfriends. No, because there's nothing there. It's nothing. Have them, take it. But if there was something, then there would be something where I'm like, I need to go fight her. I'm finna go, drive my car and run this girl over. That's where all of that comes in.
So and you be having those feelings? Because my baby dad,
everybody has those feelings
about me.
I used to. I did. In my 20s, I had those feelings, but that was because I still had emotions.
Yes.
And didn't know how to.
Yeah, and I had a fresh baby, and that's a whole nother podcast on that. But I mean, I knew within me that was an insecurity I had. And I think that's the biggest thing, like y'all said, is the comparison of women. Like, I would hate for someone to look at my Facebook picture and be like, she thinks she's all that. She's this. And what does she have where he's with her? And you never know what someone goes through. You never know what someone's story is, what they've been through. So there's no way to envy someone else, because you honestly don't know what a picture doesn't tell you what someone is going through and what they're enduring. So I think
the picture doesn't say what he fell in love with.
Exactly. And I think that's another thing, is like, even if it's not, on a spotlight, I love her because of this. Like, maybe you will never know. Maybe it's not meant for you to know, and yeah, I think that's just I at one point was the other woman, right? And I had those thoughts. Well, what is it that she has that I don't? And I had to sit back and I'm like, did I just become who I hated?
Yeah.
I became the woman I hated all those years because, me being cheated on, and I'm always wondering what this other woman is. And then I became that at one point, and I hated myself for that. I hated the fact that I allowed myself to be in that situation. So I don't know. I think the whole strife women have with each other is sad, because if we all were able to come together, we could be a lot stronger than we are.
A powerful force.
So powerful. But I think it's so many of us that are, like you said, what is that learned behavior? So if you go and you touch an iron and it's hot, you burn your hand. You more than likely ain't never going to touch that iron again. So think about the women who's had those experiences though, early on in life, where they tried to be friends with another girl or woman, and somebody backstabbed them or crossed them, and they're like, I will never be open like that again with another woman. And you could be missing out on some of the best friends, best travel friends, best business friends, because you have this stigma against women. Or this is a whole nother picture. You could have had an ex-boyfriend who ended up cheating with some girl you knew or were friends with. And now you feel like all your girlfriends that come around are going to cheat with your man. And it's like, I don't even want him. You know what I mean? But somebody might have that feeling like, I would never allow this person to come to my house, because when I let such and such come over, that's how she got close to him. And nope. So now women just cannot come to my house. And it's like, everybody is not the same. And the people say that all the time. Women give men 1,000,001 chances. I was going to say shots, but 1,000,001 chances.
Yep.
When it comes to women relationships, we are quick to cut off women. And I will admit, I was one of them that was quick to cut somebody off, only because I didn't want all the drama. Like, I'm not big with female drama, and that's something I just choose not to deal with. Like, all of the back and forth and all of the who said this and that and what.
Right. It's exhausting and draining, and just what?
Right? What is happening? What are you doing?
Right.
But
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if a lot of people just actually sat back and, not saying mind your business, but mind your business to a certain aspect. Like, you wouldn't be so worried about what she's doing, doing. When y'all do come together, it's you spending time with each other, having a great time, and then you go about your business. When you get to doing all the extra digging and wanting to be in somebody's life, that's when it gets too personal. Why do you need to know?
And too, sometimes, we have run-ins with women, and, our first impression is supposed to be, the best impression. And it doesn't always happen like that. I mean, look at me and Ashley ran into each other through you. I couldn't stand that girl. Now I love her to death. Like, our first impression sometimes isn't our best impression, and we have to give each other grace.
First impressions. My friend Crystal. First impression of me was I was a bitch. Excuse my language. But
she said,
listen, first impressions don't mean nothing, because I love that girl with my whole soul, and she loved me back. And I just can't say I'm aware to her. If I stay away from saying I'm aware to her, we good. But I literally came across to her. Like, I worked in the office, and she was literally trying to move in to the townhomes that we lived in. And she called, and I had just had a night of abuse, y'all, with my ex-husband. So I was really just going through my stuff at the time. And she called and said she was having that she had a showing. And I was like, yeah, I'm aware. Like, but I didn't say it, and I didn't mean no harm by it, but that's how I said it. And then that was what I did on the side. And then I also ran the school that her son, I was the assistant director up there, and she brought her son, and he came to school with some goldfish, and here I am again, the big bad wolf. He can't have
just shutting it down.
Just like, so yes. So when I say first impressions definitely don't me a thing. Like,
No,
you
no.
have to understand, like, sometimes we have to give each other grace because we all never know what another person just may have had went through or was going through. And literally, I was really going through some serious things at that time. We almost ain't make it. I know, child. Ooh, I know. But yeah, yes, first impressions, that is definitely something.
Lots of
Davina, my first impression of you is not the impression of you that I have of you right now. And it wasn't a bad impression at all. It was just like, I was like, oh, I thought you were, how do I put it? I thought you were a little meaner. Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. I didn't even have, I guess it wasn't even a thought.
I have the resting face.
Yes,
Yes.
A
Yes.
lot of people tell me that.
yes.
And I think that I smile a lot to where I don't even think that I have the resting face, but a lot of people tell me that.
I
That I
thought
have
that,
a very resting, serious face.
yes.
Like I mean business, and
Yes,
that's
but you're
not what it
so
is.
nurturing and motherly, and I just be wanting to jump in your arms because mom.
Aw, get a blanket.
And
Pat her
Africa
back.
was not scared of me her first time. She was
Wow.
like, look, that's my mama. I was like, yes, girl.
Devin is about the only one I hear that the first impression is really a lasting impression.
It is.
Africa kind of comes
Now.
across like,
That's now, though. That's now.
Really?
No,
yeah,
even
you do.
back then.
You come across kind of like,
I have a few people who will say, and it depends on the, like you said, it depends on the situation. Like if I'm in the middle of doing something important or I'm like rushing, people will say like, "Oh, she's not really open," and it's like, how? Like I'm probably one of the most open people will meet, and I don't know. I rub some people the wrong way. Some people, get the good side of me. I don't know. I guess it depends on the day. So I've
We don't
worked on
gotta be
that.
everybody's cup of tea though, and so I've
True.
had to learn that.
You know?
right.
That's true. I have always heard good things about people that have met me with my energy. I have good energy, and then I'm a very respectful person. But would I say everybody likes me after they first meet me? Probably not. Because I'm a Gemini and I have more than one side. So y'all just see the
I
nice
actually
one.
have a question for you guys, as being the founders of Women Empowered. Um, I know we've talked a lot about, the different reasons why women don't really get along, but as you guys are running a group of women empowered, what do you guys see? What do you guys feel needs to change within women? I know we kind of answered it, but you guys are actually running a group with nothing but women. And so I know you deal with a lot of having to ease situations and comfort people and bring them together. And what is that like?
I would say we need to continuously give each other grace because nobody knows what one is going home and dealing with on a daily basis.
I will
I would
say,
go ahead.
go ahead. Why did we just say the exact same thing at the exact same time twice? Um, Women Empowered has had its share of things, right? And we've been in business a year now. But did she just circle up? I
Shouldn't be.
want I want to be respectful in answering her question.
Right, it's reload.
Okay. So yeah, that's a really good question though to think about because
Yeah, I got some good responses.
I'm gonna let you go because I'm probably gonna forget. I probably done forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, just know she's gonna have to go back and watch it now.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's not reconnecting. Let's see.
Mhm.
I'll give her a little bit. No, that's a really good question, though. I think I'll just say this while we're waiting on her. I think the biggest stigma women have, she'll probably pop back on, is that, and this is one thing I have seen women say, if I tell you my problems, what are you going to do? And if you don't tell someone your problems, how would you know? And that's an honest response. It's not, I mean, it's not that people necessarily want to be all up in your business. But I think us as women, we so hardly try to. She's trying to get back on. Oh, she popped on and popped off. We try to have this image, right, of being the perfect woman, and not saying no one is good, and you know, there are people who have better qualities than others, and whatever the case may be. But nobody's perfect. And I think that is one thing a lot of us forget at times. So when we're going through things that maybe make us a little bit more imperfect than the next in our eyes, right? In our eyes. Not really, but in our eyes, we seem as though, you know, I went from here to now I'm here. And it's like,
Mhm.
what is this scale you're really using exactly to make it seem like you're less than? Because nobody's less than. You just maybe are going through something somebody else hasn't went through, but you're still valuable. You're still important. You're still amazing. And I think that's the biggest thing is like social media and everything has made us compete with each other so much. There you go. I was trying to answer things like just to keep the conversation going.
She is back.
But to answer your question, we hold ourselves at this so high of a standard to where we don't want to seem imperfect. So, in Africa, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
You gonna go back and watch it?
Yeah.
Yes.
But because we have this, you know, facade and image to uphold, it's like if I tell people what I'm going through, then everybody will know my truth. Everybody will know I'm not perfect. Everybody will be able to say this about me. And everybody doesn't like to show their wounds, you know, and their scars and the things they've been through. So I think that plays a part in women not wanting to be open and reveal things to each other because they don't want to be judged. Oh,
I
wait.
think I used to be that way. I think honestly, over the last 2 years, I think I've grown, even with like getting my book out there and writing my book and just being able to be a lot more open and vulnerable and being able to share that. I've come to a place where I really want to help women tap into being able to deal with the brokenness inside of themselves and to be able to share pieces of themselves because none of us are perfect, as you said, but at the same time, we do need to own our truths and we do need to own our stories and we do need to be real about who we are. And we do need to be able to, I'm not saying everybody under the sun and their mama need to know where you come from or anything like that, but I do believe that it's a freeing feeling, and I'm speaking from experience, to be able to say, yep, I did this. Yep, I did that. Yep, that was me. Yep, I went through this. Yep, I went through that.
That's not a
And to
secret.
be able to say that and to be able to, help someone who may not be as free in that area, see that it is okay. Give yourself some grace and say, hey, how old were you when such and such happened? Or where were you in your life when such and such happened? And do you know that what you went through can come along and help somebody else? And to be able to share your experience may stop somebody else from making the same decisions or the same choices. Not many people that have come to me like in within the last 2 months, like I'm flooded with people just thanking me for my vulnerability and thanking me for being able to be so free and truthful about the things that I've endured, because it's literally helped them see themselves and want better and want to do different things with their lives. And so I do believe it's important to be able to be vulnerable with people. Are there people that will take your vulnerability and the things that you have gone through and twist them, turn them upside down, and make their judgments? True, but guess what? They got skeletons in their closet. At least you ain't running from yours.
Right. And that's what I was just about to say that.
Yes.
Let me quickly say this. What's the harm when you said everybody shouldn't know necessarily? What would be the harm in that? Honestly, like what would come from that? You're still going to be living your life.
Exactly.
You're still going to be doing everything you do, and people might just know about something that happened 20 years ago to you. So what?
Right.
So what? And I had to learn that too. Like anything I did in my life, it taught me to be a better person, to not deal with certain things, whatever the case may be. And if somebody knows that and uses that to their advantage to try to say something, that's just something you can conversate about. I mean, but it's not going to make me none. My bills still get paid, and you know what I mean? My kids are still taken care of, and I'm still being able to eat food on my table every single day. You know what I mean? Like, I had to grow up and realize that, though. Like, there's going to be people who say things. There's always going to be a naysayer on something. But to hold things in and to reserve it and not speak your truth is worse of a burden than speaking your truth and actually connecting with other women that are able to help you.
Agreed.
It's not healthy to suppress anything in life. The only way you can set yourself free of it is to speak on it.
Correct. So for me, with joining Women Empowered and then also the prayer line that you guys have, I found myself more into my faith, right? And with that came a lot of accountability for me. And then a view of how I look at relationships, how I approach them, and who I let in, and all of that, right? I think people have the tendency to be so scared that they're going to get hurt, so they instantly put these walls up. And where I'm at now, I rather let you know. Like, I'll rather share my testimony, my situations that I've been through. You can't use them against me because I've been using them against myself. Like, I'm my worst critic. So I mean, you can talk, but 9 times out of 10, if you're talking about what you know about me, it's because you feel some type of way about yourself and you haven't dealt with it. Got it. Understood.
What you think you know.
Right.
But in addition to that, like, it made me realize that I'm okay with, loving on people in the world, friends, enemies, strangers. But as far as real friends, I don't want surface level friendships. Um, and what I mean by that is I want to share my testimony with those who I say I care for. Because if we can share those testimonies, you may have been put in my life for me to let you know what I've been through, for you to let me know what you've been through, so you or I or the people around us can get out of or break a certain cycle that has been, going on for some time. Excuse me, or to let go of some hatred that I may have had towards another female, and realize that, I've been harboring something, deep down, and it's not all the females, it's me. Or, it's a situation that I may have had with my mother. All of those things get expressed when we actually open up to more females, when we have better relationships, when we're able to talk about what's happened in the past, what's going on in the future. I'm looking to grow in this area, can you mentor me? I'm looking to lose weight, or I'm looking to gain weight, can you help me? Being vulnerable to say, hey, I like what you're doing, or you're gorgeous, being able to just open up and not carry around this weight of I gotta hate you, and I gotta hate you for whatever reason, I have no clue. So I just wanted to share that.
Did we all answer her question?
I don't know. I have
No.
You
Can you re-ask it? I'm sorry, because I know I didn't answer it. Because I know I didn't. You buffered off, and then I didn't.
And just as founders, how is it running a group of women? The reason why we're having the podcast today is why are women relationships so hard. So with you guys starting a group with women, nothing but women, how was that for you guys? Seeing just how women can be, how we deal with each other. How is that?
I think it's teaching me how to, like, I have really learned how to be an educator and more of an advocator for the positive things that women need to represent, even when I don't always feel like it, right? Because again, been in business a year, we've had many changes, many different things that have happened. I would love to say they were all great, but the reality of it is we run a business, and life is life. And there are some relationships that were severed, and people that came and people that went, and the love is still there, and the care for them are still there. But at the same time, I think we've learned that we have to, again, we have to give grace in areas where we didn't always know how to do that. And we really have to actually tap into it a lot more because of what we're out here doing in the community. We have to, nothing's perfect. You're not going to always feel right about every situation. But as a business owner, as a woman's advocate, as a woman that's out here helping, women grow and develop, we have to be examples. Like, we have to set appropriate examples, and we have to be leaders as women, and we have to represent leadership at all times. And leadership doesn't mean that you can't have a human moment, and that you can't have a breakdown, or that you can't understand why this woman is being this way, or why this situation is this way. But how we conduct ourselves and how we handle those things is what's true and what's important. Prayer has helped me tremendously. It has helped this business tremendously. I know when we would go into like the radio shows and things that we did all of last year, we would find ourselves praying, during that time, after and before and during. We pray heavily. We have prayer lines, as you said. And even still, I know that the things that we do they're positive things. So when you're constantly doing something positive, your mindset has no choice but to go positive and to enter that realm truthfully. Now, if we were running around here running Women Empowered, and we were running gossip shops, and not shutting down gossip, because I'm gonna be honest with you, you're right. Being a woman advocate and a woman in business and leadership, women want to come to you. They want to tell you what another woman did. The first thing, if you're a negative or dramatic person, you're going to do is you're going to engage in that conversation. But we, as Women Empowered, we have to redirect those conversations, and we have to restructure the things that those women are saying. So we have to be like, did you pray for that sister? Did you pray for that woman? You want to come and talk to me about what this woman said or what happened with this woman? We need to pray for the situation. And literally, that's the leading way for me when it comes down to dealing with women, is faith, God. And then of course, remaining positive, making sure that Women Empowered presents enough positivity with events. And what else? What events and interactive workshops and the prayer lines and the support groups. We want to cover as much positivity to outsource the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer.
And to piggyback off of what Eb said, I think also as leaders and women advocates, I think the biggest takeaway is for people to understand we're not perfect either. And, people at times expect perfection from us. And you're not going to get it, unfortunately. And I think sometimes people get upset with that because we're supposed to be always at a certain level, and we have our human moments. So no, we're not going to entertain, unnecessary drama and gossip and all of that. However, there are going to be things that come, awry in a situation, especially in a group with 1,000+ women. There's going to be, individuals' personalities that don't mesh well together. That's just going to happen. But I think us as facilitators, being able to, keep situations to a minimum is the best way, for other women not to be affected by it. And I think that's the biggest thing we have did as facilitators, as we have tried to keep everything at a minimal if a situation does come about, so it does not affect how we are available for other women, but also, not being involved in all of unnecessary things. So, it's going to happen. When we open a facility, there's going to be things because we'll be in person with people. There's going to be somebody who might be volunteering with someone else who just doesn't like the way sister such and such had a tone, and miss such and such thinks she's my boss and things like that. It's going to happen. It is. everybody's personality does not mesh well, but I think at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, we got a bigger purpose. We were not given this idea and this mission on our own. That was given to us. And for us to be able to say we want to help women and change women's lives, that was given to us. That was a God-given mission. So for us to just give up on it or not give our all to it, it's just not, it's not even possible. Like, we can't do that. This is what we're here for. So, I mean, we're going to grow as a facility and you know, we're always going to get better with everything we do. But, you know, I think that's the biggest thing with women and anyone we deal with is just keeping in mind, have an open mind. You know, just love someone else, even though I might not, you know, understand exactly what you've been through and what pain you've been through. I'm actually here to listen. I might not have all the resources. I might not be able to maybe jump on a phone call when you need me to, but that does not mean I'm minimizing your pain or not wanting to listen. And I think sometimes that can get misconstrued with certain people too. You know, the expectation that they have on facilitators is so high. You know, you run this business, you know, you're supposed to help women. Why aren't you helping women?
What's the most thing we've heard? The one thing we've heard that's been, y'all supposed to be women empowered. How come this?
And it's like, we're
empowering women by not entertaining.
And maybe not to the capacity of which everyone wants, because here we go again, back to what I said. The expectation is a lot higher than what it needs to be. I might not be able to speak to you every single day for 15 hours of the day, you know, while you're going through whatever you're going through. But I can definitely devote certain times and set up certain things, and we can figure out a plan. And I think that's where, you know, women have to be open-minded, especially coming into a group. And, you know, I might not know you. So I got to figure out, you know, what is your need exactly? Like, who are you as a person? What do you need? What services do you need? We might not be able to do all of that in-house. So, you know, we do have to figure all of that out too. So we might not
also keep in mind that there are 4 different women who, if one can't, you know, fit into an area, then there's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. But at the same time, also having the understanding that our common goal is to be able to help you in any area that you have. Yeah. So, but what we're not going to do is we're not going to negate women. We're advocates for women. We are not women, you know, condescendingly putting women down, destroying women, taking part in things that are destructive, you know, things that are not empowering. Again, our business is women empowered, not women non-empowering. So that's just.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also, this is just my perspective. I feel like Minnesota is very cliquey. And there are times where I know a handful of women that could benefit from our group that doesn't. And that is, you know, their own perspective. They don't, you know, entertain certain things that we have. Will they come along one day? Probably not though. And I think that's one thing as facilitators is that we have to realize we will help the people who want and need the help. So we're not going to be able to reach everyone, you know, and that's just something we had to learn. You know, sometimes, you know, we as facilitators even had higher expectations for certain things. You know, maybe we should have 50 people here and then only 20 show up. And, you know,
we have to learn to be okay with that.
Exactly. Because everyone who is present and there is supposed to be there. And that's a part of learning the business, a part of, you know, accepting that you just can't reach everybody. I mean, it is what it is. There could be someone watching our podcast right now that's never seen anything we've did. And they could get, you know, a bad perspective just from this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, you never know how someone reacts to certain things. So I would hope no one ever tunes into something that we're talking about and get a bad impression, but you never know. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just a reality of it. You know, someone might log on right now and be like, So what they talking about? They're not gonna help what?
No, but the thing is it's being real. You want people to understand that we, again, empowering women, right? We don't know what everybody's needs are, but we want to do the best we can to facilitate and make sure we meet those needs and the standards. And so if we are not meeting those things or doing those things and people feel that they need to walk away, they can walk away. They'll be back though.
Yeah.
They'll be back.
Sorry.
Go ahead, babe.
No, I was just gonna say I've had a lot of women reach out to me too, that personally said this is the kind of help they needed,
Right.
and still shied away from it. So I mean, when everyone is ready, they'll come around, and if they don't, like I said, then they don't. But our door is always open to anyone who wants healing and help and support and everything else. So
Who just wants to join the journey?
You
We're on a journey.
created
If you wanna join it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
you guys have really created a community, and it's a community of women of so many different ages, and so many different areas in their lives, from those writing books, those doing separate podcasts, from those who um have their own businesses doing other things. There's so much going on, but the community is so beautiful. I've been in workshops with you guys, I've attended conferences with you guys, and um I've communicated it with women that I truly don't know if I would have ever came across if it wasn't for the group. I've had a member of Women Empowered help me out with clothes for my kids. I think the start of the school year, they just heard me speaking about the struggles as a single parent, and showed up at a workshop that you guys had hosted, and there was a bag, two bags of clothes for both my daughters, and like that warmed my heart, because you don't know me at all, but you just heard me and you felt my heart. You guys are truly lifting up women, and doing all that you can to heal those who are hurt, find women where they are and help them grow in however that may look. And so it's a beautiful thing. And sometimes people let their pride get in the way of that. People let their emotions, because we are women and we're emotional, that gets in the way. Um, but being able to kind of check ourselves and see whether it's us, versus always blaming somebody else, you'll see that you're really walking into a group of women who are ready to just love on you. And for me, having not the best relationship with my mother, not having relationships with either uh, grandmothers of mine, I have extra moms, I have cousins, I have aunties, big sisters in this group, and I never would have thought. So, I mean, for me, it's nothing but God to have been, blessed with just with you guys. I'm so grateful that you created this group, and that you continue to expand, that you continue to reach out to more women. I've sent the link to so many people. Like, if you don't join the group, join the prayer line. If you don't join the prayer line, join the group. Come to a workshop. Like, I spread it as much as I can, because it's not just a group. There's so much more to it, and I just can't wait to see you guys grow into a facility, and then facilities in different states, speaking into existence, more workshops, but
We're here to do it.
right. I love that.
One day.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And I'm happy that we were able to, create something that did flourish in your life as well. Because that's the biggest thing, I think. We don't do this for us. We're doing this for the other ladies. We want to be able to help other women. And that really comes from the depth of our souls. Like, this is not just something we're trying to do to get another dollar. Like, we're actually doing something to fulfill our duty on this world. And that's something we're going to do till our breath is gone to be able to help as many women as we can, because that's one thing I would like to be able to say is I helped as many women as I could until my last day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one goal I have for our group this year is for us to be able to actually know what each woman does.
I agree. That's a good one.
What do you bring to the table? Do you have a small business? Are you able to, publish? Are you a lawyer? Are you a doctor? Are you a nurse? Our community is so big to where I honestly feel like we could, as a unit, as a group, be able to say, okay, you need a new pediatrician. I know that,
Yes.
Karen in Richfield is a pediatrician. Oh, you need a dentist. I know a dental hygienist who is over, you know what I mean? Like, and we have enough people within our circle of group members to be able to do that. And, I hope, that's my prayer, is to be able to honestly pick the brains of every woman in our group.
And the whole resource center out of it.
And have a whole little, directory to be able to say, call this person for this, because word of mouth is the biggest, advertisement, and we could be helping each other, better each other's lives. There could be some small business owner that maybe is only having a certain couple amount of, sales per month, and there could be 600 women in our group who need those services. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, simply just knowing that that person has that ability to do that for them could make a world of a difference. So that is one thing I am hoping and praying we get.
And just to know that you might be a sister, that I might need a resource and be too ashamed to be able to reach out and ask a stranger for it. But you might be a sister that has that resource for me.
Yep. Yeah.
She put me in tears over here talking about women empowered. That was powerful. Yeah. One of my goals for this year is for us to be able to continue to get to know more women and add more women to Women Empowered and what we're doing, and just to be able to continue to help them grow. Like you said, there will be ones that won't, but there will be, where there's those that won't, there are many that will. There are women in our lives that we may not have gotten on with, had the best relationships with, may have hurt in our past, that may feel a certain way about Women Empowered based off of the women we used to be. I mean, these are realities that we need to, always have in the back of our minds. But at the same time, we know who we are and we know what our business stands for. And I think God will send us the right people. The right people will be a part of what it is that we're trying to do. It's a movement, y'all, and it's only going to get bigger, and it's only going to get better, and it's only going to continue to grow. So I'm just excited for what we got. And we got some stuff that people don't even know about. So
I also feel like, even for those that may have at one point joined on and just weren't feeling it then, we're here, we're waiting, with open arms, open hearts, and open minds. So don't just give up on us, because we're not giving up on you.
Yes.
Where did Africa go?
I have not a clue.
She's still, but she's not on the video.
She went over the prayer line.
Oh yeah, it's 8:23. Okay, yeah. So
now we can wrap this up. One takeaway, if someone is watching this live now or watching the recording later, what would you want that woman to take away from this? Because we do have some people watching. So I do want to say I appreciate anyone who is watching this live, spending the time with us. Whether you're watching the recording later, we appreciate you as well. Because we're doing this for all of you. So we appreciate you very much. But one takeaway you would want someone to know after this podcast about women and relationships with women.
I would say one takeaway is let's start taking our time getting to know each other like we do with our relationships with men.
That's good. Yeah.
I would say stop letting ourselves get in the way of being able to form and have good relationships with other women. Stop getting in our own ways with forming bonds and relationships with other women. Stop letting our egos, our pain, our hurt, different behaviors that we may have adapted in childhood or developed, through some hurt and pain that we went through. Get those things out of the way so that we can actually benefit from having relationships with positive women.
That's good. I would say, I guess I would say expectations. Having realistic expectations for your women friendships and learning to meet someone where they are versus expecting someone to be where you want them to be. Because, every relationship is not always going to be the same. So just understanding where, you fit with that person and being able to, love on that person however you can and however they're available to. That would be my takeaway. So we appreciate y'all. If you have not tuned into any of our prayer lines, it is going on right now.
And Veronica's running that right now. In case y'all be wondering where she's at, that's where she's at. Because she just posted that she's there. So she's there.
Right now. Yeah. But yep, we will have another topic for you all next Wednesday. We do have our support group tomorrow, Healing 101. So please tune into that if you have not did that yet. It's amazing. It's a group of us that get on there and we talk about, different topics, and it's just a place to come and vent and, have other like-minded women to discuss things. So we appreciate you all, and we will let y'all go. We love you.
Love you. Bye.